He descended upon the city, like a phantom. A silver disk, smooth and silent, emerged from the clouds above the capital. Its presence wasn't an announcement, it was a verdict. Calcutta radio was the first to crackle with the warning. A gigantic object is traversing the sky from east to west. Speculation spread like a virus across continents. Reports are coming in from all over the world. An unknown object is circling Earth at incredible speed. The commentator's voice was a cold anchor in a sea of rising panic. Tension coiled in every living room, every bar, every street corner. Anxiety and apprehension sweep the nation's capital, the famed broadcaster intoned. But beneath that official anxiety, a city went about its sunny day, blissfully unaware of the shadow descending. The shadow became reality. The first Washingtonian to look up froze in disbelief. A father on a picnic grabbed his child and ran. An Air Force officer could only stare, his face a mask of rigid terror. The disc glided past the stars and stripes with a nerving liquid grace. Panic erupted, baseball games dissolved into stampedes. Picnickers abandoned their blankets, fleeing as if from a silent plague. With a final, earth-shaking tremor, the visitor settled. It chose the heart of a baseball diamond as its landing pad, a perfect, alien circle in America's green. In its wake, the city fractured, traffic snarled into chaos, citizens fled in blind terror. And as the sirens began to wail, a different kind of machinery stirred to life. From fortresses and barracks, the army mobilized. Tanks, jeeps, and guns rolled toward the park. The phone lines to power burned. "Get me the chief of staff." A nation held its breath, tuning into a special broadcast. This ship, designed for travel outside Earth's atmosphere, landed in Washington at 3:47 p.m., the commentator reported, trying to sound assured. But the camera didn't lie. It showed the silver ship, silent and ominous, ringed by tanks and artillery, surrounded by a sea of curious and fearful faces. "Every weapon is trained on that ship," the voice said, just as the broadcast was shattered. "Wait, ladies and gentlemen, I think something is happening." On the screen, a ramp silently descended from the ship's belly. 1,000 rifles were raised. 1,000 hearts skipped a beat. Then, a man in a shimmering silver suit appeared in the doorway. He moved with an impossible calm, descending the ramp as if on a Sunday stroll. He stopped, raised a hand in a gesture of peace, and spoke. "We have come to visit you in peace and with goodwill." His voice was amplified, clear, and utterly alien. But the hand of peace was met by the twitch of a trigger finger. A shot rang out. The visitor fell. In that moment of human fear, the true power of the visitors was revealed. From the ship emerged not another man but a giant. A robot of polished silver, impervious and silent. Its face was a smooth plate. Then, with a mechanical hum, the plate slid upward. Beneath it glowed a single, burning red eye. A beam of pure energy lanced forth. Soldiers' rifles turned to molten slag in their hands. Tanks were vaporized where they stood. The robot, Gort, was an unstoppable force of destruction, a galactic policeman, unleashed. Only the wounded alien's command, shouted in pain, halted the carnage. "Gort, Digolit Ovrasko." The killing beam vanished. The robot became a statue once more. The alien, Klaatu, was taken to a hospital, a prisoner of the nation he had come to warn. There, a presidential envoy came to see him. "Have you traveled far?" the envoy asked, attempting diplomacy. "About 250 million miles, Klaatu replied, his tone flat. "From another planet. You might say we are neighbors." The human struggled with the concept. It is difficult for us to think of another planet as a neighbor. "Under the circumstances," Klaatu said coldly, "you will have to learn." He laid out his demand. Simple and impossible. "I want to meet the representatives of all nations on Earth." The envoy sputtered about logistics, distance, political tensions. "I have traveled 250 million miles, Klaatu repeated, a quiet rebuke. He suggested the United Nations. "We have monitored your radio for many years. That is how we learned your language." But the human's reply was a lesson in earthly paranoia. The suggestion of a meeting in Moscow would be unacceptable, unless it was held in Washington. Klaatu's patience, already thin, snapped. "I do not intend to add my contribution to your childish jealousies and suspicions." His people had learned to live without stupidity. Earth, it seemed, had not. Declared a prisoner, locked in his hospital room, Klaatu made a decision. He would go among them. Learn the source of this madness himself. With a skill that baffled his guards, he vanished. The manhunt was immediate and hysterical. Police bulletins described a monster, while the world searched for an 8-foot tall terror. Klaatu, now calling himself Mr. Carpenter, walked calmly into a Washington boarding house. He rented a room. He became just another face. There, he met a widow, Helen Benson, and her bright, fatherless son, Bobby, over breakfast. He listened to the fear of the other boarders, the radio blaring panic about the spaceman. Perhaps he is afraid, Helen suggested quietly. A voice of reason in the din. A being from another planet might disagree. Klaatu offered, a ghost of a smile on his lips. He offered to watch Bobby for the day, a chance to see the world through a child's untainted eyes. They visited Arlington Cemetery, a field of white markers. My father, Bobby said, pointing to one. He was killed at Enzio. Are all these people here because of wars? Klaatu asked, his voice heavy. Mostly, the boy replied. My people have cemeteries, but not like this. You see, where I come from, there are no wars. He gave Bobby glittering gems as curiosities, a currency from the stars. And he asked the boy a crucial question. Who is the greatest man in America? Not an astronaut, a great thinker. Professor Barnhart, Bobby said without hesitation. He is the greatest scientist in the whole world. Their next stop was the ship itself, now a public spectacle. Bobby was full of questions. What makes it fly? A highly developed form of atomic power, Klaatu explained. I thought that was just for bombs. No, it has many other uses. A lesson for a child, and for a planet. A reporter shoved a microphone in his face. I suppose you are as frightened as the rest of us. I am fearful when I see people substituting fear for reason, Klaatu stated. His gaze steady, the reporter quickly cut him off. Undaunted, Klaatu took Bobby to find Professor Barnhart. The house was locked, but through a window, Klaatu saw the professor's work. A massive blackboard covered in a complex celestial equation. Klaatu studied it, and a faint, knowing smile touched his lips. He doesn't know the answer, he told Bobby, and with that approach he never will. He decided to leave a calling card. They entered the study. As Klaatu began swiftly correcting the equation on the blackboard, the professor's secretary, outraged, burst in. How dare you write on that board? She scolded. He will solve it very quickly now, Klaatu replied calmly, leaving his name and address. That night, the great man himself came calling. In the quiet of the study, surrounded by books and the corrected equation, Klaatu revealed the truth. I am Klaatu. He explained his mission with chilling clarity. Earth's primitive rockets were one thing, but its discovery of atomic power changed everything. Soon one of your countries will apply atomic energy to spaceships that we cannot tolerate. He had come as a warning, a last chance. The future of your planet is in danger. When Barnhart asked what would happen if Earth refused to listen, Klaatu's answer was final. In that case, the Earth will have to be eliminated. The professor, a man of science, understood the weight of the threat. He agreed to convene a meeting of the world's greatest minds. But to make them listen they would need a demonstration, a show of power that could not be ignored. Klaatu promised one. The day after tomorrow, about noon. Meanwhile, back at the boarding house, suspicion was growing. Helen's fiancé, Tom, found the strange gems in Klaatu's room. And Bobby, unable to sleep, had followed Klaatu. The previous night, he had seen everything, the walk to the ship, the activation of the giant robot, Gort. He told his mother the incredible truth. She tried to dismiss it as a nightmare. But when Tom confirmed the gems were unlike any on Earth, and combined it with Bobby's story, he saw only opportunity, fame, fortune, a hero's welcome for catching the spaceman. Helen, now convinced of Klaatu's true identity and noble purpose, raced to warn him. She found him just as noon approached. As they rode an elevator together, he chose that moment to reveal himself fully to her. The elevator shuddered to a halt. The lights died. What time is it? Klaatu asked. Just after 12. Helen replied. We'll be here about half an hour, he said. All the electricity has been neutralized everywhere. His demonstration had begun. Across the globe, the machines of the world ground to a silent halt. Cars died in the streets of Washington, New York, London, Paris, Moscow. Factories stopped. Power plants fell dark. The planet was put on pause, without a single shot fired. In a locked, powerless room, Helen finally understood. Bobby was telling the truth. Yes, Klaatu said. He entrusted her with his greatest secret, a failsafe. If anything happened to him, the robot Gort would react. His programming would deem the planet a threat. He could destroy the Earth. There was only one way to stop him, 3 words. Klaatu. Barada. Nikto. He whispered, making her repeat the alien phrase, her only hope to save the world. But it was too late. Tom had already made his call to the military. As Klaatu and Helen fled by taxi, an army descended upon Washington, sealing it off. Their cab was cornered in a dark tunnel. Klaatu ran, a lone figure against the might of a terrified nation. A rifle shot echoed. Then another. He fell. As his body was taken away, the consequence of his death activated. At the ship, the silent silver giant stirred. Gort's faceplate slid up. The red eye glowed with apocalyptic fury. 2 guarding soldiers were vaporized in an instant. The policeman of the galaxy was on duty. Helen, knowing it was the end of everything, fought her way to the ship. Gort seized her, carrying her inside like a doll. As he prepared to unleash his final judgment, she screamed the words Klaatu had given her. Gort, Klaatu Barada Nikto. The command worked. The killing light faded. The robot stood down. But its mission was not complete. It carried Helen deeper into the ship. Then, it walked through solid walls to where Klaatu's body lay in a military morgue. With impossible technology, it restored him to life, if only for a short time. I was dead, Klaatu said to a stunned Helen, rising from the medical table. He had just enough time for one final act. The meeting Barnhart had arranged was gathered at the ship. Klaatu, with Helen by his side and Gort looming behind him, addressed the world's assembled geniuses and leaders. His speech was not a plea, but a stark ultimatum from the stars. The universe grows smaller every day. The threat of aggression cannot be tolerated. He spoke of a galactic alliance, a rule of law enforced not by armies, but by an impartial, unstoppable police force. Robots like Gort, patrolling the planets. The penalty for provoking their action is too terrible to risk. We live in peace, without arms or armies, secure in the knowledge that we are free from aggression and war. He looked out at the sea of fearful, hopeful, defiant faces. Your choice is simple. Join us and live in peace, or pursue your present course and face obliteration. We shall be waiting for your answer. With that, his time was up. He turned and walked back into the silver ship. Gort. Berenga. He called. The robot followed. The hatch sealed with a final, definitive clang. The ship rose on a column of light and sound, shrinking to a star then to nothing. Leaving behind a silent Earth, its machines still dead, its fate now resting in its own, trembling hands.